Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making something that is absolutely not Puerto Rican. It's actually a Salvadorian dish. And I'm making pupusas, Salvadorian. I'm making these vegetarian. Well, not really vegetarian, but yeah, more or less. I am making cheese and bean pupusas. And I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of more or less what I'm going to need. I might be missing some stuff that I'll add as we go. Anyways, to make the sauce, I'm going to use tomatoes. I'm actually doing a small amount, so I'm going to use 4 tomatoes, which I am going to, as we speak, we're going to put them inside a pot. So, 4 tomatoes, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I washed them before. I'm going to use part of an onion. Not completely, but just a little bit of it, because I will be using the onion for other things. So I'm going to save this part of the onion. Now, for this part, I'm just going to peel the outer layer. And I'm just going to just literally go through it, because there's a lot of steps to this. So, just gonna remove the little jacket thing, like my kids will call it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a rough chop, which is fine. I'm also adding about 2 cloves of garlic. I'm adding 1 jalapeno. I'm just gonna cut it in half. I'm going to leave the seeds because I want a little bit of spice. And I'm going to cover that with water until it covers it all the way. And this I'm going to actually boil for a little bit. It's a couple of steps to this sauce. So, I don't know if you could see it well or not, but I'm putting a little bit more water just to coat or to cover, and that's it. I mean, that's gonna be number 1 base part of this thing that I'm doing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this started. I need it to come to a boil. In the meantime, for the sauce, I'm also gonna use a can of crushed tomatoes, and that's all I'm doing to that. Now for the curtido, or the actual cabbage slaw, I'm gonna remove the outer layers of the cabbage, and we're gonna toss those. We're not gonna use a whole head of cabbage because there's a lot, but we are gonna go ahead and use half of this maybe. For the curtido, just to give you a quick heads up, I am going to be using cabbage, onion, we could use red onion, which I probably will use, and carrots, which I'm gonna peel. Everything's gonna be julienne, and you will see that next. Now we're gonna be using vinegar, oregano, salt, pepper, and I'm gonna add a little bit of jalapeno for heat. Okay, now that's for my curtido, in hot water, of course. For the actual refried beans part, I am not making my beans, so I bought already made refried beans. And I'm just going to take this, add it to the cheese, and I'll show you that in a little while. But let's get just started. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop these up, and I will show you next what we're doing. So, as you can tell, I already shredded, let's just say shredded my cabbage. And what I'm going to do to my cabbage while I prepare the rest of my ingredients is that I'm going to get some super hot water. I need it to be super hot. And I'm going to put my cabbage into hot water while I prepare my ingredients. This will kind of wilt down the cabbage a little bit, so it kind of cooks it just a tiny bit while I prepare the rest of my ingredients. So super simple. I am putting my cabbage into a pot. No, I'm not cooking it, but I'm not going to go get a bowl. So I'm going to put it in this pot. And I'm going to top it with hot water. Straight out of the faucet. If you guys know New York water is super hot. And while I prepare the rest of my ingredients, I'm just going to let my cabbage kind of wilt in the pot for a little while. In the meantime, I have my carrots peeled. Now I have a julienne slicer because I'm being lazy and I don't want to take out my ingredients. And this was just julienne them for me. Carefully, because I have cut myself a few times with this. So this is what I'm doing with the carrots. If you don't have one of these, this is one of the best things to buy if you like shredded carrots without having to take out all your big equipment. I kind of turn my carrot around so I can get the big pieces. Anyway, so I'm gonna do this by 2 carrots, and then I'm gonna chop up half of an onion and slice it thin, and the same thing with my jalapeno. If you do not like jalapenos, so then don't add them. This is just a me thing. I prefer jalapenos, so I'm gonna add them. A lot of people that I know, Salvadorian friends, do not use jalapenos on them. So it's up to you. Anyways, I'm going to continue to chop these or get these prepped, and I'll show you next what we're doing. Okay, so in a bowl, I put my shredded carrots. I'm going to put my shredded onions. They're pretty thinly sliced. You put as much onion as you want to add or as little. If you do not like red onions, I added actually a little less than half of a red onion. If you don't like red onions, add white onions. This is half of a seeded and chopped jalapeno, and we're adding it directly in there. And then we have 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm gonna also add them in there. Now to this mixture, I am going to shred. I'm going to grab my shredded cabbage that has been in the water behind you. Well, in front of you. And I'm going to directly put it inside. Okay? All you got to do is rinse out the pot. There's nothing in there that's dirty. Okay, so we have our cabbage. We're going to remove this. I'll wash that in a minute. Make sure you wash your hands, okay? And we're gonna just go ahead and give this a quick turn, just because we want everything to be incorporated. Okay, now we're gonna stop, wash your hands again, so that way you don't dirty everything else. And what we're gonna do here is super simple. We are going to, number 1, I should have gotten everything prepared. We're gonna add white vinegar. You can add apple cider vinegar. I prefer the white vinegar. So I'm adding white vinegar. I am also adding some oregano from my mother's garden. I think oregano, just be very careful. Sorry. A little bit of black pepper, freshly cracked. Again, not a lot, your preference. You prefer more, you add more. You don't want any, don't add any. It's up to you. Okay? Now, next is just a little bit of salt. And now again, the tools that God gave you, use your hands, and we're gonna start giving it a turn. And let me tell you something. I think this is something you could just eat like that. It's like a pickled cabbage, you could say. Now, if you prefer to add more jalapeno, add a full jalapeno. If you want it more spicy, then don't take out the seeds. Now let's taste. My goodness. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I mean, I'm sorry. A little bit of sugar. Just a little bit. It's not OD, not a lot. Just a little bit. A little sprinkle of sugar. Don't ask, I think the sugar counterbalances everything. So, and at the same time, a little bit more salt. Go ahead and give it a quick stir. Now you take this, put a little bit of plastic wrap on it, and set it aside, because as you do everything else, the flavors on here will totally get better. Next, we make the sauce. Now for the sauce, super simple for the sauce. We're just gonna take in our blender, we're gonna take the jalapeno out of the water. Everything is still hot, so we're gonna actually take everything out of our water. You're like, that's a lot of stuff. Yes, it is. We're gonna, our garlic, our everything, just put it directly in there. We're gonna take a little bit of the water that we cooked it in, just a small amount, and we're gonna put it directly in here, just so ever we can get that going. And off camera, I'm going to blend it. Next, I'll show you what we're doing with that. So as you can tell, the pureed mixture, it's not very vibrant. So what we're gonna do really quickly now is that we're gonna strain half of this mixture directly in the pot that we use at first. About, and maybe a little more than half. Just a little bit more than half. And we're gonna just give it a quick stir. The only reason I'm straining it, I'm actually gonna strain the whole thing, is because I want to remove any of the seeds, and if I want later, I might add just a little bit of the outside of the whatever we get out of here. We could put some back in, but I'm adding, I want to make sure to take out like the skin. I might add half of this back in, or maybe a little less than half. I'm gonna try to get all the flavor out of here. Anyways, we're gonna take this. We're gonna take this much out of it and put it right back in. The rest, I'm just gonna remove and throw it out. Okay, now on this liquid, we're going to add a whole can of of crushed tomatoes. Don't know, it doesn't matter on the brand. I'm gonna use what I had on hand. So I'm just gonna open my can. Because of this whole coronavirus thing, just make sure that when you get home from the store, make sure you get all your ingredients washed before you even put anything away in your counter. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the whole can. Okay, now I'm gonna use a little tiny bit of water just to make sure we get everything out in here. Okay, in this mixture, which we're gonna cook now. Okay, in this mixture, I am adding really quickly a little bit of oregano, my mother's garden oregano. Just a little bit. Don't overdo the oregano. A lot of people tend to overdo it, and that's not good. Garlic and onion powder. This is not a must. This is just a me. So I prefer to add it I prefer to add it if you don't have to. Onion, garlic, and salt. Oh, and a little bit of sugar. So salt and a little bit of sugar. Why? Because of the tomatoes, we want to counterbalance it. Now what I'm going to do, after I'm going to let this cook for at low for around 5 minutes, then I'm going to give it a taste, check what it needs, and we will take it from there. So for my filling, like I said, I'm using canned refried beans because honestly I'm in a rush and I'm not in the mood to make refried beans at the moment. So we take the whole can out. I actually not a big fan of all canned refried beans. I like some, but right now we're going to use those. Again, we will be using the tools God gave you, but this time around I'm going to put on a glove only because I don't want too much of a mess on my hands. So I'm putting on a glove. In the bowl where I have my refried beans, if you guys can see it, it's just beans. Okay. Okay. And I'm using either, this is Salvadorian cheese, but you can use shredded mozzarella, will work perfect. We're gonna put the cheese into the into my bowl. Maybe I should have grabbed the bigger bowl. Didn't feel like it. And I'm just gonna put in the rest of the cheese that I have in here. And we're gonna use that hand, and we're going to, we're just gonna go ahead and mix the cheese with the actual beans. And if you think you want more cheese, then add more cheese. If you want less cheese, you add less cheese. It's up to you. So this is gonna be our filling for the pupusas. Maybe a little bit more cheese. Let's go grab some more cheese. Where is my cheese? Okay, here we go. I'm adding just a handful more of cheese. I just love when the cheese is very melty in the pupusas. So we're gonna add a little bit more cheese, and now we're just gonna incorporate this. Anyways, you get the gist of it. So it's just about incorporating the cheese with this. Normally you would do chicharron, but I'm not in a mood for chicharron. So we got that. Next, I'll show you guys the dough. Okay, for my masa, I am using maseca. Instant corn masa flour. I don't know if you can see it. So maseca instantánea de maíz, instant corn masa flour for tortillas, tamales, pupusas, atoles, empanadas, gorditas, and sopes. Anyways, I'm using that. How much? That depends on you and how much you want to make. This is what I'm doing. In a bowl, I'm gonna add some of my flour. It all depends how many you want to make. Let's go with that much. We're not making that many. Anyways, so we take that. We're gonna add a little bit of chicken base, or you can use vegetable base. I'm using chicken base, caldo de pollo. That much. About a tablespoon or so. I'm also going to add just a bit of salt. A little boom, and that's it. And I'm also going to add a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. It's super simple, right? Now, the next thing is the key part. Hot water is what you need. So we want hot water, hot enough that you can handle it. Don't burn yourself. I'm at my senior. Anyways, in here, we're going to grab our hands. We just mixed it really quick. And we're going to add flour fast. And we're going to start mixing. You notice I'm just literally mixing it. And I'm massaging it with my hands because I do not want clumps. So we're just kneading it. You could say massaging. We're just kneading. It still needs water. So excuse Choopy there. Believe me, its flour is good. It's gonna take in It's gonna take in a lot of water. And you wanna massage, or knead until all clumps are no longer there. And you get a fairly smooth masa. I want you to see something. At first, when I was doing this, I was thinking it was too soft. And then I learned from a friend in Canada that I met over there while I was over there, that you need it to be this consistency for it to be able to stretch out. So, in fact, you could even add just a tiny bit more water. Not a lot. That's good enough. And let's incorporate it. And we set it aside. That's it. This is our masa. And we set this aside while we prepare our pupusas. Okay, so in a little bowl with some water, we're going to add a little bit of oil to it. That's going to be for our hands. This is the easiest way that I have learned to make these. Now, if you know of a different way, that's on you. If somebody else taught you differently, that's on you. I'm not Salvadorian. I am Puerto Rican, attempting a Salvadorian dish, which I really like. Here's my phone, my messages, geez. Anyway, so what we're going to do is that we're going to grab with one hand and we're going to wet both our hands with the oily water. And we're going to take a little bit of masa. Let's say that much. Okay? We can go bigger, but let's go that much. Now, what we're going to do is with our tip of our fingers, we're going to start just doing this. We're trying to make a little hole in the center. So what I'm doing is that I'm pressing and turning. Pressing and turning. Okay, so all I'm doing is like a little well. Now we can use, I'm going to use a spoon just to show you, but normally I would not use a spoon. Okay, so let's just put that much filling on that one, okay? And we're going to go ahead and start doing this. Just to try to get it incorporated, like a little pocket. And then, you see the excess? Put it right back in there. Push this aside. Put a little bit more oil in your hands. And then you're going to go pressing back and forth. Okay? Now, I do have like a very shallow skillet, which is what I'm using. You can use an electric griddle. You see how it's a little bit out? It's okay. Either you could leave it or you could just patch it. And we are just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we are flattening. And you're like, well, how the heck is the filling staying in there? It just stays. I think it's the magic of Salvadorian people. I don't know. Anyway, so just round it. Round it to make it pretty. You know, as pretty as you're going to get it, actually. And our skillet is a little hot. All I did was spray it with a little bit of pan spray. If you don't have pan spray, just use a little drizzle of oil. Just a little bit. And we're going to put this directly on there. I'll show you guys that in a minute. Let me do another one. Okay, so I'm going to grab First, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more oil. I'm going to grab about a little bigger, well, bigger than a golf ball. Probably like 2 golf balls together. It's not even an orange because it's a lot smaller than an orange. Anyway, so what we're doing with our fingers here, 3 fingers, I am just making like kind of like a little well. I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to try to do the other way to see if it comes out, 'cause I haven't done it the other way in so long. Okay. So we just put it directly inside. I'm going to go ahead and show you this way. I'm making like a little pocket. See? Like a little purse. Like a little beggar's purse is what it's called. And we take out the excess. Put it back in the bowl. Hands again with oil, and we're gonna go ahead, smack it, not too hard, not too soft. And in reality, what I'm doing is with my finger tips, as I'm going around with this, I'm going around, see, and at the same time I am flattening it. Once you get it to like this big or this thin, you stop, you make sure it's a little round. That's it. Pop it into your stove. Now, another way that I was taught was to take 2 small bowls. Okay, so these 2 small bowls, and I'm going to flatten one. Okay, I'm flattening it, and I'm going to grab my filling. I don't know if this is going to come out. It's been a long time I don't do this way. Anyway, so we take it. We put it in the center. We grab the other little one that you have made. Not made, but the other little ball. And we're going to put it right over it. And then you kind of seal the edges. You seal them, and pretty much that's it, you know, and pop that into your skillet. Next, I'll show you how I'm cooking them. So in the back, I have on a simmer, I have my sauce. Now in a minute, I'm just gonna taste it now. Needs a little bit more salt, and I'll add that in a minute. So you want to taste it to your liking. So all I'm doing now is just giving them a flip. Normally I will use a griddle that I have, but I'm not in the mood to go take that out just so I can show you guys what I'm doing. So what you want to do is make it on something that does not stick. While this is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt to my mixture in the back. I made a lot more sauce than what I actually thought I was going to make, but that's okay. So we'll keep that aside. While that cooks, now we just want to flip these, okay? And we're gonna cook them until they're golden, brown, and delicious on both sides. And then next I will serve. So we put our pupusa down, right? Then we take our curtido, which is our cabbage slaw. We put it right on top. Automatically it looks beautiful. But we're not done there. Now we go and grab our sauce. That looks beautiful. And we're going to simply dress our pupusas. You're gonna add as much sauce as you want. Okay. Then, if you have some cotija cheese, or some Mexican cheese, you're gonna go ahead and sprinkle the tops with a little bit of cotija cheese. And that, my dear friends, is a Salvadorian pupusa done by this Puerto Rican. Look at that. Now, if you wanted to make it a little bit more bougie, you can grab some cilantro or some green scallions, which is what I'm gonna use now. And we're gonna, let me just cut a few pieces. And what we're gonna do is just top it with a little bit of green, just so that way it looks cute. There you go. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is Lala here at Maddie's Puerto Rican Kitchen and More. God bless you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so that way you get my videos as soon as I post them. God bless you, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.